Hello everyone, Bashar here. So I have been absent for some time, I know. So just to catch up, guys, I have moved to Kick under the same channel name, Kick.com Bashar Josh N. I've been streaming in Turkish though, so if you want to drop by, it's that. And I also have swapped back to Hearthstone, just the news. So as you can see, I have been obviously playing Diablo 4. We have completed all the achievements quite some time ago, 3 seasons ago when the expansion was released, because Blizzard, some of the achievements were not completable during the main game's release. I know this is a bold claim, but there was no one in the whole wide world that had all the achievements before the expansion was released, because as I said, some of the achievements were unobtainable before the release of the expansion, and then after the release of the expansion there were still some unobtainable ones. Then they patched it, and finally you were able to reach 100%. There are some pretty grindy and terrible ones there. Anyway, me, I have a tendency to get sidetracked. So, guys, I want to talk to you about season 9, Sins of the Horadrim mechanics. I think this has been the most, you know, season with the most ample amount of mechanics. There is a lot of mechanics, so let's go to this place, the Horadric place here in Kerrigar. So guys, first off, we have the Horadric spellcraft, right? That's the most obvious and probably important one. So, when you make a new character in the season, there will be some sort of seasonal quest line. And so the main thing of your Horadric spellcraft skill will be the catalyst. Then there will be the infusion, and then there will be a lot of arcanas, and you can select 3 arcanas. You can select 1 catalyst, one infusion, and 3 arcanas. So how does this work? So as you can see, guys, these can be mapped to any skill that you have: the first, the second, the third, the fourth skill, or your left click or right click skill. So, and you can only do one, as you can imagine. So you select one of these 5 skills and you assign it to the skill that you think would be logical. And the catalyst has its own cooldown, so it stands to reason to assign the catalyst to a skill that has a similar cooldown, or no cooldown at all if you just want to spam it. So these 5 catalysts and 5 infusions will be given to you during the course of the quest line. The Arcana are a different story. So they redid the Nightmare Dungeons. Instead of 10% XP blah blah garbage, now we have some more potent advantages and disadvantages there. And some of the Nightmare Dungeons will have Horadric strong rooms in them. So let me elaborate on that. So some Nightmare Dungeons will have a guaranteed Horadric strong room in them. Can I find any here? Yeah, I will also be talking about these legendary ones later on. As you can see, there is some sort of advantage and some sort of disadvantage. By the way, just let me remind you this Forgotten Wisdom stuff is very awesome for leveling. When you are, this could be an alt, or this could be your main character. As soon as you have the sigils, sigil powder, whatever it is called, go to the occultist and craft yourself some Nightmare Dungeon sigils and try to find one with Forgotten Wisdom. And when you kill the monsters in there, they drop some XP orbs that are, giving a decent bit of XP. I think it starts off with like 5% of the level, and they drop pretty frequently. So they make leveling very fast, and the game has been very recently patched. And with that patch, now if you play as a group, anyone picks one of these, and the XP is shared among everyone. So it's a very good level method of leveling. Let me find one of those. Oh, no, we have a stash here. I should have some here somewhere. Horadic Strong Room. Yeah, so Horadic Strong Room. So sometimes there will be no Horadic Strong Room. Sometimes there will be something else, but you could still get Horadic Strong Room. But if you want a guaranteed Horadic Strong Room, you want this one. So the Horadic Strong Room, there will be a device there. You will click on the device. It will throw some monsters at you. And after you kill those monsters, you will be able to go inside the Horadic Strong Room. In the Horadic Strong Room, we will have something very similar. We will fight some monsters. Then there will be some power-ups. And the power-ups are going to give you something that's good and also something that hurts you. The classic Blizzard style. And you will be able to select a few. Then the monsters in there that you kill will give you some attunements. There are some pillars, some shrines. And according to your attunement level, you will be rewarded. And this place gives a very nice amount of what's the name? Obducite. So the mindless, what was the name? Mindless infernal hordes farming are at an end. I almost did no infernal hordes, and as you can see, everything I have is fully masterworked, and I have not played by that much. And I also have another character that is also fully masterworked as well. So Obducite is to get, and in this season they have also changed the amount of veiled crystal and the other material that's required. So you only need gold and Obducite, kind of, right? The other stuff still exists, but they exist on a very low capacity because, if you are familiar with this, if you have done a lot of masterwork resetting, if you went hard at the season, there could be the unfortunate happening of running out of veiled crystal, which is pretty annoying. So that doesn't happen anymore. There is also that. So okay, let's go back to this one. So these have schools, denial, control, power, that sort of thing. It can be important at some point. So you select a skill called Catalyst, then you select an infusion that determines the damage type, and these are used to also cancel out some monster affixes, which I find is a little bit underwhelming. And there are these Arcana, and we use a currency called Horadic Field to upgrade these. These are, dropping by the millions. Just to give you an example, guys, these Arcana require 200 to upgrade. Take a look at the amount I have, right? So normally, in previous seasons, guys, the season currency was a very tough bottleneck, right? You would have to grind and grind and grind just to get the skill that you use to max level. And as you can see, I have everything maxed out, and I have thousands. So it is so abundant that you will actually max out your skill during leveling before you get to 60. It's that easy. So it's a bit of a, and sadly there is not really much to do, so they just pile up and up and up. So it's a little bit useless. And as with the previous seasons, there is some sort of seasonal reputation here, which you can do at the Horadic Focus. The reputation gets maxed, you get a Resplendent Spark, you cap the reputation, it gives you some bags like this. So that's about it for this screen. But does it end here? No, it does not. So if you take a look at my gear, you will be seeing a funny look in my jewels in my jewelry, the gems in my jewelry. So there are some special Horadic jewels that you can craft, and these are also obtained from those Horadic strong rooms I mentioned before. But sadly, guys, when you finish a Horadic strong room, you do not get a guaranteed Arcana, or you do not get a guaranteed jewel. So for me, it was pretty frustrating. I started with a Spiritborn. I will do a guide on it later on. So I was feeling nostalgic, and I wanted to the build that was rocking the world when the expansion was released. Everything was broken. Now it's been fixed, and it's very underwhelming. But I guess I will still do the guide nonetheless. So Spiritborn is the strongest character this season, but the build I'm talking about, the season 6, the expansion release, the Quill Volley, that's mighty weak. I would say like D tier maybe, right? Very, very weak. But as I said, I do have it and I can do a guide on it. Anyway, so, but the good thing is you can get lucky and you can get an Arcana and a Jewel recipe. So you craft the jewels here. There are 16 total, I think. I do not know what these categories mean. I mean, they are sorted in some categories. That doesn't really mean much. So you can equip 3 of them in your rings and your amulet. As you can see, they all provide the standard benefit of 120 armor and 6 all resistance. That's a little bit low. So in the previous seasons, these gems used to give armor close to a ground skull, I think that was called the best one. Yeah, and also resistance close to a ground diamond. Right now, they do not even give what a royal gives, right? But they provide some pretty useful benefit here. So I'm using a Hydra build now. So I'm using summons, and take a look at the bonus it provides me. So it gives me the 120 armor, the 6 all res, which is somewhat weaker than a regular gem, but after you injure or kill an enemy, your summons are empowered, growing larger and dealing 50% more damage for 4 seconds. So that is 50% damage up for me, right? Insane. There is this one, 20% elemental damage, but we also take 10% more. That is a very good trade-off, right? As a sorcerer, you use glass cannon anyway, more damage. Because so you can get survivable somehow, but you do not get damage. So, and we have 6% primary core stat, which is insane, right? We have dexterity in the neighborhood of, or intelligence in the neighborhood of thousands. So 6% is mighty awesome. In my case, it will be like 150 or so. 6% maximum life, and you will be unhindered. And it also summons some guys that we can kill for progress in the pits, right? So there are many. These are the ones I use. There are 16. Gathering these will be a pain in the ass. My first character was the Spiritborn, and I was almost done with the seasonal journey when I got the last one I needed. Sadly, it was the last one, and I drew blank in so many dungeons. But the method is simple, right? You just craft yourself some Nightmare Dungeon sigils with the Horadic Strong Room. If you are out, you can just try your luck in a random Nightmare Dungeon. It can still have Horadic Strong Room inside, right? And you do it over and over until you can get the recipe. And the costs are not very high. 3 gem fragments, 15,000 of each, which is not a huge cost, and 3,000 fields. Fields are nothing, because there is just literally no use, figuratively no use. There is this one use that you can get, but take a look at the amount, guys. I convert 2,000 fields into 200 knowledge. I'm not very sure how fields are pronounced, by the way. File? Probably not, right?
File.
Oh no, file. Yeah, my instincts got me. Okay, file. I will correct myself here. File. All right. So take a look at this, guys. I have to spend 2,000 files to get 200 Horadic knowledge, right? And I have 136,000, which means I will be getting 13,000. And take a look at the amount that I need for the badge. So this is figuratively something, but literally something, but figuratively nothing, right? Because I amassed so much during the whole season, and that gives me 5% of a badge. And just so you cannot rush your alt characters, it also is not allowed to use these before level 15 of the reputation is reached, right? They have thought of everything, so there is that. Anyway, again, sidetracked, are we? And the final thing that I want to talk to you about is the escalating nightmare dungeons, right? So you might have seen these if you haven't played the season. And this video comes late, I know, but I have been a little bit busy with the Turkish stream and the school and whatnot. So better late than never, I suppose. And so these are the legendary Nightmare Dungeon sigils. So what is the difference between these and the normal Nightmare Dungeons? So when you do a normal Nightmare Dungeons, by the way, this is a permanent upgrade to Nightmare Dungeons, right? This will continue in the off season. I don't know if the escalating Nightmare Dungeons are here to stay, but the upgrade to these Nightmare Dungeons, I think, are permanent. They were a little bit underwhelming, and they are a really nice source of obdicite now, especially with the Horadic strong rooms inside. Yeah, that might change, I suppose, when the season ends. Anyway, let's get into these. So, you do a Nightmare Dungeon, you activate the sigil, you teleport to the dungeon, you do the dungeon, and it's over, right? And you enjoy the benefits of the Horadic Gold Reserve, which means, there will be chests that drop a lot of gold in there. But by a lot, I mean, again, not too much. You will get a few million in Torment 4, I guess. Anyway, let's get into the escalation sigils. So these drop rarely or somewhat more uncommonly from the Nightmare Dungeon, the Horadic Strong Room chests, right? So you do the Horadic Strong Room, there will be some attunement level, and based on that attunement level and some seasonal bonus, you will be getting escalation sigils every once and then. But you can do these as a group, so you will be able to spam these, right? Because even if you run out, there will be some people running them, and they are not that rare, so they will be inviting you without questions. There will be groups going on, dungeons, advanced search, escalating. As you can see, there are lots of groups. And so what do these do? So you start this, right? You do this dungeon, the first one, Horadic Gold Reserve, Profane Aegis, you do it normally, right? But when it ends, there will be some sort of, like a prompt thing that appears at the end of pits, right? You click on it, and there will be a vote to engage the next level, right? And there will be a level 2. And in level 2, there will be 2 positive affixes and 2 negative affixes, right? So it gets a little bit harder, but it also gets more rewarding. Then after that, there will be a third level, which will have 3 positive affixes and 3 negative affixes. And finally, after that, there will be level 4. In level 4, so the dungeons that appear there are random, and there is a good chance that you can catch up on some, whispers from the tree. That will be a nice 5 Grim Favors. But the fourth one is the Astaroth Slayer. Is Astaroth Slayer right from the campaign? He is the boss of this season. You will see when you do the quest line. And that level is always fixed. A very short level with no monsters inside, or almost no monsters inside. And then you will be able to engage Astaroth, right? I don't want to give any spoilers, but he drops a ton of loot. And the loot will be also somewhat randomized. By randomized, I mean it can drop a lot of uniques, he can drop a lot of gold, he can drop runes, etc. It varies, but on Torment 4, I think when it's the gold, for example, he drops like 400 million gold. And take a look at this, guys. I have 280 million gold. So, 400 million is pretty serious. Yeah, that's about it. So the last level is Astaroth, and Astaroth is pretty challenging. So you might know that the bosses in the game, the Beastie Knights, the Zir, Varshan, Grigor, those are somewhat easier. Urivar also, and Daryl, Duriel, Harbinger of Hatred, those are nastier. Belial is even nastier, and Astaroth is on the level of Belial-ish, pretty nasty. So difficulty is a little bit harder. Yeah, that's about it for the season mechanics. I think there is the jewels, there is the reputation, there is the files, there is the Horadic Spellcraft, and finally legendary Nightmare Dungeon sigils. So yeah, that's about it, and I will try to do a few build guides as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.